Welcome to Say Like a Champ, episode 202. It's your boy A-Dub.
For real, it's your boy Strizzy. What's good, SLAC family out there?
Yes, what's good? We back again after our big 200 show, and then last week we had our 4th of July show. So this feels like the first kind of more normal Tuesday, back to our normal scheduled programming. But definitely want to welcome all of our slackers in, and as always, say thank you for you being here with us, rocking with us, and we're excited to be back to talk some sports. But Strizzy, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. Special shout out to Unc last night. He got us all together and paid for our dinner and stuff last night. So it was real cool to be able to chop it up with everybody. Kind of nice for my Slack fam to be able to meet my bio fam. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
that was really cool too. You know what I'm saying? I'm always talking about you guys. So it was kind of nice feeling. I know my mom's happy to put some names to faces and stuff like that. And it was just cool, man. It was really, really good. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad you and Pops got to come out and Marcus too. So it was a real good time, man. So I'm feeling, heart's feeling full. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely, yeah. Special shout out to Unc. Thank you again for extending the invitation to your Slack family too. So yeah, Pops and I, went out, met up with Strizzy and with Unc and fam, and had some good pizza over in downtown Glendale. So that was cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool.
Yeah,
glad y'all can make it.
Yeah, me too. That was really dope, and yeah, definitely free food is always, what I'm saying, there's nothing ever wrong with that. So yeah, so thank you for taking care of us on that note. And we do want to say a special shout out to Mad Marcus. He's not going to be able to be with us today, but we love him dearly, and he's always supporting the show and doing a lot for us. Whether you get to see him on Tuesday or not, just know that he's still a part of everything we're doing. So special shout out to Marcus. And then also want to welcome some people in. We got Grace in the building. Hello.
Grace.
We got Pops. Good evening.
Pops.
A happy Tuesday from Kelly. What's good?
Indeed.
And hey, y'all from Stephanie Washington.
What's
checking
up?
In. What's good? So thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you. We're going to get rocking and rolling in just a second here. And not too much crazy news going on, but definitely some different things that we want to touch on. And I want to get the slacker out there, y'all's opinions on this stuff too. So let's go ahead and pull up our branding, and we'll get into our first topic. What's up next?
Oh, let's check it out, man, real quick.
Tuned to NFL Talk.
Let's get it.
All right, NFL Talk. We've been on it a little bit about how it's just really slow right now. And that's cool, not necessarily a bad thing, just kind of gearing up for the season. But OTAs are starting pretty much in the next couple of weeks. Training camps will be opening up, so we'll get to see some of our guys back in action in a little bit, and then also the preseason starting just about a month. So the countdown is on. But we do have some news about Alvin Kamara. So this happened, as we may remember or not, but Pro Bowl last year, not this January, but last January, Pro Bowl in Las Vegas. Alvin Kamara, had an incident where he was charged with battery for an incident that happened actually like the night before the Pro Bowl. He played in the Pro Bowl and then got arrested right after. Now yesterday, the civil case was dropped and they reached a settlement, which will remain private. Originally, I think the guy was seeking like $10 million in damages. I doubt that he got that much, but yeah, there was a settlement yesterday, and he pleaded today no contest to the battery charges. So he's going to get some community service, and then we'll see from there like what happens next, basically. But
it cost him a little bit. I'm glad he got that contract, a year ago. But I know, on top of the community service hours, I know he got like a $100,000 fine or something like that as well. So
it was $100,000 the hospital bill for the guy. He had to pay actually, too. That, and so it's like, dang. But I mean, hopefully, I don't know how much. I hate to say it like this, but I don't know how much damage was done. I don't know if that $100,000 was, extra bills that were kind of run up, to make it seem worse than it was or whatever.
That's what the lawyers do, you know what I'm saying?
They
get you anything, get the neck brace on and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, it was probably best for him to avoid court with that and just to kind of get it settled. But the crazy thing is, right, there was 4 players that were involved in this. But of course, Alvin Kamara is the one that we're hearing of because he's the one with, more notoriety, more fame, more money, bigger contract. So I'm kind of interested to see, like, on the other end, like, what's going to happen to his co-defendants. Like, are they going to, is it all going to be dropped? Is Alvin Kamara kind of taking the fall for everybody, with the settlement? We'll see what happens with that. But as Pops reminded us, he avoided jail time, but Roger punishment is coming up. I do think that kind of cleared the way for the NFL now to punish Alvin Kamara and the others, if so, now that kind of part is done, we'll find out. But hopefully it's nothing too crazy. But I think he's going to at least get a couple games behind this. And it's kind of weird how it's happened so long ago, and he's just now kind of going to get the punishment. So
true.
He played a whole season. So that's what's kind of weird too. Like, he played a whole season. Nobody says anything. It is what it is. And then now he's going to get punishment for something that happened, back in January of 2022. It's kind of interesting.
That is really crazy, actually.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens next with that. But that's kind of something that could impact the Saints and their kind of new group that they're putting together. Other than that, I do want to welcome in Anthony Wesson. What's good? Thank you for being here, brother. And perfect timing for this one, too, because I want to get his opinion on this. I know he's been watching this closely. But, since this is kind of like the Law and Order segment
I know
this time, because we also have Chiefsaholic, which is like the Chiefs super fan that you see here. And he's, he's gained notoriety because he would always show up as, like, dressed in a full wolf costume. And he'd be basically at every Chiefs game, home and away. And most recently, though, he hit the headlines because he was arrested for a bank robbery back in December, and he basically got out on bond in like February, and in March he cut off his ankle monitor and went on the run, and basically has been like kind of on the lam until earlier this week. I think it was yesterday or Sunday that the police caught up to him, or actually the FBI caught up to him, and he was somewhere outside of Sacramento, so all the way in Cali. But he had basically is now being connected to like a string of robberies, like in Oklahoma, Iowa, Tennessee, like all across the nation. This guy was pulling robberies, and now he's been found, and so he's gonna have to be punished for it. But it's just kind of crazy, that this guy was like a super fan. He used to show him on TV all the time, and now he's just a bank robber the whole time. Man,
these season tickets get expensive, bro.
Right.
These season tickets get expensive.
He's like, look what you made me do.
For real.
He wasn't robbing banks until the Chiefs started getting Patrick Mahomes and started winning and hitting the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden he was like, yo, I gotta make something shake. So
tickets getting costly.
Yeah. Crazy though. Anthony Weston says Raiders fan in disguise. That's too funny. And they're definitely going to need to do a 30 for 30 on this dude. Yeah, I think it will be very interesting to like hear more about it. And yeah, Anthony Weston says they have gotten way expensive. Like it's pretty crazy. But Arrowhead and just the Kansas City area has like a really strong fan base. So match that up with how successful they've been.
Exactly.
And it's only natural that is it's going to go crazy. But yeah, I just think that's such a fascinating story. So we'll sure learn a little bit more about that. We'll see what happens to Chiefsaholic. I don't know, man. Maybe that's why he was wearing the mask the whole time. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't even show up to games in his own. You know what I'm saying? I'm just curious, like if he had like a different mask for like robbing banks or whatever, or if he ever like pulled a job like in this thing, that would be just too silly,
I'd be dead if he was pulling jobs in the Chiefaholic costume, bro.
Right? Can you imagine that? Anthony West says jailaholic now. Yeah, that's the thing. They switched it up quick on him. But I just think it's funny though. But I did always want to, and like maybe down the road with SLAC. Like honestly, I've always been fascinated by the super fan, and like it's been around for a long time. But all the way back to like I remember as a kid seeing Cowboy Daryl, and he was like the Cowboys super fan that like anytime it was a primetime game, they would show Cowboy Daryl. He'd be getting the crowd fired up. You got the guy with the Jets, the fireman Ed or whatever. Yeah. That kind of is the same. Like he's like their unofficial mascot. The Suns had Mr. Orange for a while.
Yeah.
He went away and then he came back after they got good. Very interesting. So I'd like to hear that story, Mr. Orange. Like what happened, you know what I'm saying? What made your colors fade during that time? But I've always wanted to like sit down with some super fans like this and really really kind of get to know their story and how it became what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I guess you just never know what you're gonna get, right? We could have been reached out to this dude and been on some whole different things. So Anthony Weston mentions Clipper Darrell. That's another one. Yeah, the super Clippers fan. You know, even like the Cleveland Guardians almost slipped up there.
Oh yeah, you're right.
They have somebody that bangs the drum for them or whatever, and like they just, you know, it's like become a part of what they do. Like it's like now it's a part of the game day tradition and stuff. So yeah, man, I just think it's really cool. But I do admire the dedication of some fans. But I will say you shouldn't take it to this extent. You know what I'm saying? If you got to rob banks to keep up with it, maybe just miss a game. You know what I'm saying?
It's time to calm down a little bit.
Exactly. Just scale back the fandom a little bit. But we'll see what happens with Chiefsaholic. But that's the only real NFL news that's going on. Nothing too crazy. So we'll go ahead and keep this thing moving. All right, NBA talk. So we're going to get to a couple of different things that's going on in the NBA right now. But one of the newer announcements that we've gotten that we've kind of been looking forward to is the NBA announced the details of their in-season tournament. And so what you see here are the groups that have been placed. But before we get into it too specifically, I just was curious, Strizzy, like, what are your thoughts on like having an in-season tournament? And are you kind of like yay or nay with this concept?
I'm like walking a line, but as of right now, I'd say I'm a little more nay than yay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I can applaud, you know, the NBA by trying to do different things to keep the audience engaged, the fans engaged, and you know what I mean. It's like when the NBA has been so the same for so long, and you know, don't get me wrong, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like it out as it is, but I can also say cool, kudos to trying to engage, bring on more fans, new fans, you know what I mean, things of that nature. But I thought it was kind of weird that they're doing it more kind of like soccer than say March Madness. You know what I mean? Like,
gotcha, yeah.
So I think for me, the way they're doing it, you know, in the sense of like the first couple of games or whatever actually go towards their
regular
wins and losses column, right?
Yeah.
But I would have really liked for it to be kind of like, NCAA, like single elimination. You know what I mean? Like, let's have some Cinderellas in this tournament type thing. Let's catch the Spurs, catching the Warriors on a bad night and advancing in the tournament while they're kicking them out. You know what I mean? Like things of that nature. But I think with the group play, it's still going to kind of keep the bigger teams obviously are probably going to move forward. You know what I mean? The ones who you're going to typically see in the playoffs and things of that nature, which is fine. It's whatever. But I think if they were going to do it, I think I would have rather them do it a certain way. But I think because they are making it, count towards their records, they can't do single elimination, right? That would be way too long. It would take it wouldn't work. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
So yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of like with you. Like I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
Like as a kind of like a nerd for like logistics and the way they're doing the scheduling, I actually feel like they kind of came up with a creative way to try to do it to where I get now how they sold it to the players, right? Because they didn't make the season longer. I get that part of it, and that's kind of cool. But the grouping is kind of weird that they did a random draw, and it was kind of like basically like each of these groups have 5 teams in it, but you would basically get like a team from the top so much percent, middle so much percent, and then bottom so much percent. So that's how they tried to kind of settle them out. But yeah, the initial group games will be basically just their regular season games. When they're going to play that team, that's going to count towards the tournament play. And then it won't become single elimination basically till the very end, which is like December 7th and 9th, where they'll have kind of like the final 8 teams identified out of the group stages. Yeah. And then those teams will be like, play down in the West and play down in the East. So I don't know. We'll see. But I don't want to be too much of a hypocrite, but I'm like, dang, it's in Vegas. Like, that'd be kind of cool to just slide up there and go see the final. But I was looking at tickets. They already have tickets on sale, of course. But they're only selling like the upper bowl. But it's going to be at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, which is where the Aces play and the Golden Knights play. And I get that, like, why they're doing that, just to continue to like pave the way for like the NBA in Vegas. And like it does so well during the summer league, and it's such a destination where you have all those hotels built in to where you can easily accommodate like everybody showing up, you know. So we'll see. But to your point, Strizzy, I do think there might be some Cinderellas in there. I do think once they get down to that group stage, like you might see like a Kings like break through, right, and like win this little tournament, because like it would mean that much to them, and the other teams might not go all in for it, you know. So we'll see how it plays out. I feel like especially this first year though, maybe teams will be more gunning to be like the first ones, because you do get a tournament trophy, you do get a bonus for making it all the way to the final, and there will be like a tournament like MVP too. But basically, I think this is just kind of like a gimmick for the NBA to like sell more interest in the middle of the season. Because there's fans like, even like Marcus always says, like until All-Star break, like it's not as the same like intensity. So it's like, you know, to get more interest in the middle of the season is kind of cool. Sell more games and also more primetime slots. Like, you know, it's just another event for them to have like a mini finals, basically like in the middle of the season. So we'll see how it plays out. But I definitely wanted to see kind of your thoughts on that, and you know, I'm interested. I'm kind of here for it though. I'll watch. I'll tune in.
Of course,
not necessarily ask for it, but doesn't mean that I might not like it. But
no, that's what I said. Like, I'm not offensive. Like, you know what I mean. Like, obviously, I'm gonna watch it, see how it goes. You know what I mean. And like you said, like it's next door. You know what I'm saying. So it would be cool to try to move over and go catch a game out there or something like that. Like that'd actually be really dope too. But,
it's like they're gonna have like on that Thursday, the 7th. I think there's like the finals of the last two teams in the West and the last two teams in the East will play that day, and then that Saturday it'll be like East versus West for the championship. So
for sure,
so we'll see. But I don't know. I'm glad to see how it's gonna work now. I thought like you, I thought they were just gonna like take a week off during the middle of the season and then do some kind of like random bracket and then just play it all the way down. But this kind of makes it a little bit more intriguing, where like all throughout November, like if it's a Tuesday or a Friday game, it's like going to count for regular season and for the tournament too. So we'll see. All right, let's go to the comments real quick. Anthony West says group play is cool, but put a mixture of group of death like Nuggets, Heat, Celtics, Spurs. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, like just make it like a really hard one to get through. That'd be fun. Pop says, I don't like it. I'm a traditionalist. 82 regular season games and playoffs. Players are always resting. Now this. Yeah, it will be interesting to see, like, you know, kind of how we keep comparing it to soccer, but I guess that's the only thing precedents we've seen. But, like, even in soccer, like some of the in-season tournaments, they won't play their main guys because they're like, oh, well, you know, we have a bigger prize. So if the NBA teams do that, it'll be cool to see, like, maybe the Pelicans or, like I said, the Kings or the Cavs, you know, sneak in because maybe it means more to them. But I'm wondering if like low key the NBA has some kind of a rule, like an unwritten rule of like you better play your stars in these games at least the first time around, you know. But we'll definitely see how it works out. But Pop says real fans don't need gimmicks to watch good basketball. I feel you on that, but they're always going after the people that aren't already in, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird.
Exactly. Basketball fans are always, like, you know, like Pop said, like we're real basketball fans. Like we really don't need the gimmicks to watch because we're always going to watch. You know what I mean? Like you're going to catch every Lakers game you can. I'm going to catch every Miami Heat game, and Pops, you know what I'm saying, with the Sixers and things of that nature. But like you said, like I think the audience are people who don't watch. You know what I mean? Trying to reel some new fans in and try to get some more, you know, people to end up watching.
And I feel like because like the younger generation, like the shorter attention span, like you want more winners, you want more celebrations, like you know, like maybe. So we'll see how it goes. This is interesting. I like this too. Anthony West says it should have been a rotating city based in arenas that don't have an NBA team. That'd be tight. Maybe they will do that. Maybe this year's Vegas, maybe next year is Seattle, you know, or something like that, where the finals would happen. That would be pretty gangster. But I still feel like they're going to stick to those strong markets that they're trying to continue to build. So, All right, so we'll see what's up with that. That begins November 3rd, and we'll be, of course, kind of talking about that every Tuesday as it goes down. Let's see what else we got. Summer League, though. Speaking of Vegas, Summer League is doing really well right now. The first week of Summer League was big time. Had a lot of engagement. Most watched NBA Summer League opening weekend ever on ESPN networks. 450,000 average viewers per games. Like, that's legit. Like,
for a summer league, yeah.
The summer league used to always just be, well, it used to be like only on NBA TV. Yep. Like, it was only on it wasn't even on ESPN. Every once in a while it'd be like on ESPN 3 or something. So like, just to see where it's come in the last like 5-6 years is pretty cool. But of course, Wembyama had a lot to do with that too. Everybody wanted to see a new guy. What did you think of Wembyama's debut? He only played 2 games and now he's basically shut down. But what did you think of Wembyama?
Honestly, it's exactly what I expected. I felt like I don't want to say it's hype, but I want to say like I had a feeling it was going to kind of get to him a little bit. You know what I mean? Everyone's waiting for him to play, watching him to play. It's the biggest stage of basketball in the world. You know what I mean? And I think maybe it got to him a little bit. He didn't have a strong shooting night in his first game, but then I knew game 2 he was going to bounce back like crazy, and he did. So, and I think that's kind of what they wanted. They wanted him to get the jitters out, see how he does well in the second game. I know he fell down a couple of times in the second game, so I think that also might have a little bit to do with you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you had a great game. Let's cut it for the rest of summer league. So the people got to see what they wanted to see in him. I think the Spurs got to see what they wanted to see in him. And at this point in time, they're just gonna probably work with them, the different coaches, shooting coaches, post up coaches, things of that nature, and get them going. But yeah, man, I think he looked great. I think my favorite right now for Rookie of the Year is Chet Holmgren. I don't think for me it's Wemby yet, but we'll see what happens. Some of these rookies have shown a lot of promise.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think Chet probably benefited from that extra year.
Yeah, exactly.
Wembyama, I could definitely see him being up there. The hype is around him, but I do think that the hype might hurt him because the expectation might be different, right? He might be being judged on a different scale than your average typical rookie. So I do think that will be interesting. I think he will lead the league in blocks though as a rookie, because just people are going to take time to adjust to like what he can do. But but also too, it's going to take him time to adjust to the NBA game. He has been playing with grown men and professional, but like it's different the way our guys play, where we might see some hoopers in the summer league that are just like hoopers that came up through the AAU, and they're like, oh, we're ready to go and like shine on this type of a stage, but maybe not necessarily be as productive. So, but yeah, we'll watch that one closely. Also, Popovich, he inked a 5-year extension over the weekend, like basically shortly after Wembyama's debut, and I think that really gives the Spurs and Popovich and Wembyama like some confidence going forward that hey, it doesn't have to be right now, but let's try to see if we can, put something together and win a championship in the next 5 years. I think that'd be a cool way for Pop to go out.
Funny thing is, man, I loved how they gave Pop that contract, because for me, like we're constantly talking about, it's like as a head coach in the NBA right now, dude, it's like you get 2 seasons. You know what I mean? Right. It's like you get like 2 seasons to get to a championship, not even like make it to the playoffs. Like you got to win a championship in 2 years or you're gone. You know what I'm saying? And
like even Budenholzer, like he won a championship and then 2 years later he out.
Exactly. Same thing with Nurse. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Nurse. You know what I mean? Like, Monty got to the championship, lost. You know what I mean? And I understand why they got rid of him, but I still think it was a little pre-done. You know what I mean? But with Pop, it's like he hasn't had the talent around him in the last couple of years to really put anything together. But the Spurs are always so competitive because of how good of a coach he is. You know what I mean? So I'm really glad that the Spurs are.
Oh, did I lose you? Or did? Sorry, did we both go down?
Yeah, I think we might have both went down for a second. That was weird.
Dang. Yeah. Apologize, y'all. We had a little there was a blip in the matrix or something.
For sure. For sure.
But yeah, you were saying about Pop. You love how they give Pop that runway, and coaches don't really get that anymore.
Yeah, and I think he deserves it. You know what I mean? For what he's been able to do with the teams that he's had to play with. I'm glad they did it. I hope Miami does it. You know what I'm saying? With Spo, regardless of like what Spo's been able to do with the teams he's had has been remarkable. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can't look at it like because they didn't win a championship against the Nuggets when they should have been in the first place as a failed season. You know what I mean? That's more or less of like with the right people around them, like we probably win a championship. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's just crazy to see these guys and doing everything they're doing, and then a year after what they consider a failed season, they're getting fired. So shout out to the Spurs organization and realizing what they have in Greg Popovich, because you do not want him coaching somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I do want to welcome Unc to the show real quick. Yeah. He says hello from Glendale. So, and thank you again, Unc, for the awesome dinner last night. We had a great time. So I appreciate you on that. And Anthony West says, yeah, Lakers too won a championship and then their coach is fired.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then also Anthony West was mentioning Chet Holmgren, and then he was also saying OKC was supposed to be taking the last few years and haven't. And I know because Shea is kind of too good for that too. Like they're really good team. So I like what OKC is doing. I'm kind of excited for them.
And the amount of picks they still have is insane.
Yeah, they really.
It's crazy.
From like where they were at, like I know people say like, oh, they probably should have won a championship. They probably shouldn't have given up on their trio, right? When they had Westbrook and KD and Harden. But like what they've done from then to stay relevant, like, and all of that was just through the draft too, like how they even got those players. So it's like kudos to their front office. Like they really do know what they're doing.
Exactly.
For being like a small market or a destination that people wouldn't want to go to,
Exactly. Not to mention back then money wasn't the same, so they couldn't keep all three.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they just couldn't. So,
yeah,
it kind of is what it is.
Definitely, most definitely. So, I threw a couple other players up here that are having a good summer league, and we'll continue to watch that to see who the MVP is. But I kind of like it because we usually get the first couple of games of like those debuts, and we're looking to see certain rookies, and then the good ones get kind of shut down, right? Even your boy from Miami. I don't think he's playing anymore either.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get to see these like middle guys that are either coming back for their second year, kind of more dominating, like a Max Christie from the Lakers, or some of these guys to see who's going to emerge. So, I hate to say it like this, but it's like this might be some of their biggest chance to shine, just so that they can become like the third point guard on the roster or something like that. So it's kind of interesting to see like what talent is out there and how much. So, so there's a couple of guys to watch there. The next up, though, and Unc mentioned this one is where is Lillard going to go? That's still the question. The Trailblazers came out and said, look, this could take months. Like, we're in no rush to do this. We have to do what's best for the organization. But right now, if you had to put your marker down, where do you think he's going to go?
I still think he lands in Miami. That's where he wants to be. That's where he's essentially said, like, him and his agent are basically telling other teams, like, don't trade for me. You know what I mean? Like, I will not re-sign with you, essentially. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, do you want to give up the 4 first-round picks and another player or two, you know what I mean, for Damian Lillard when he's not going to stay there? Now, don't get me wrong. Dame's a professional. Like, he's going to play wherever he's at. But, like, do you really want someone who's, like, not going to feel like playing or not? You know what I mean? Like, and the answer to that is no. You know what I mean? So I think at the end of the day, where Miami's struggling is the fact that they still have Anthony Simons and they just drafted Scoot. So it's like they don't have a need for Tyler Hero. You know what I mean? So they're still trying to find a third and maybe even fourth team for this trade. And that's why they're basically saying, like, it could take a while. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. Maybe they're waiting for someone to get hurt, or the possibility of someone getting hurt. So then maybe they do need a guy like Tyler Hero, you know what I mean, or whatever the case may be. So, I saw talk of looking at the Nets, Blazers, and Miami, and at least a 3-team, possibly adding in the Hornets for a 4th. But both teams, like all these teams, are basically like, no one's in a rush right now. So, still a lot of waiting to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But like, man, I tell you, I still want him in Miami, man. I still want him in Miami.
I think you're going to get your wish, man. I think you're going to get the chance to see that. And I do think he's going to end up with the Heat as well. But I kind of commend the Trailblazers for being like, we're not going to rush. We're not just going to do it or accept less just because we know where he's going to go. Like, they're still like, we'll work and we'll figure out a package that really does make sense for us. And, after having Lillard all this time, after doing what they could to put teams around him, they should, take their time with that because he is an asset. Like, if he's not going to play for them, though, they got to make sure that they get that value out of it. So,
but there's a couple of things that Ant's saying right now that I completely agree with. Actually, everything he's saying right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's true. You don't want to go into the off season, or not the off season, but going into the season with stuff like this lingering. You want to go in with the team that you're going to have. You know what I mean? If Dame's still on the team, you're thinking about, like, what kind of a leash do we have on Scoot? You know what I mean? But with Dame gone, that leash gets a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And also too, man, I'm hoping Christian Wood ends up in Miami. I've been watching him lately too. We need the size. The size is what has been killing us in the playoffs. And with Boston grabbing Porzingis and just playing the Nuggets, and the size from all the positions, not even just Joker, just all the positions. Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, like, those guys are just so much bigger than like every other. You know what I mean? MPJ and Aaron Gordon are the same size as Bam. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's,
and they're the smalls. Like,
exactly. We were so tiny, even going against your Lakers, a couple of years ago. Like, the size killed us, man. So, if we can grab Dame, keep Bam, and we also got your boy Bryant and get Christian Wood, man. Like, we'd be going into the season with me feeling really good. That's for sure as a Heat fan. But
yeah,
we gotta add some size to this squad, otherwise it's not looking good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel you. I think we're gonna get to see it though. It'll be very exciting to see, but it might end up dragging on longer than we thought. This might just end up being like an Aaron Rodgers to the Jets situation where it's like we knew for months it was gonna happen. Yeah. But it just took like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever it ended up taking. So,
it took a minute.
Anthony Weston, though, he did mention Christian Wood. That's one of the bigger notable free agents still out there. Christian Wood, Kelly Oubre Jr., a couple other guys, Will Barton, but really the heap is small. Like, the free agents are pretty much settled. It's really just where is Lillard going to land, and then also Harden with the Sixers. Like, where's that trade going to happen?
True.
But one other one I wanted to mention, though, is Dario Saric signing with the Golden State Warriors. I think that was a sneaky pickup. Like, they're putting together a really good team, and Saric is the type of guy that he does everything well. Like, he does everything good. And he's a smart basketball player. He knows how to play with a great point guard. He knows where to be, floor spacing, all that type of stuff.
Exactly.
So I feel like he's gonna be a good pickup for them. So that's it for basketball, though. We'll see who the Summer League champion is, and we'll continue to talk about that a little bit until that shuts down. But for now, like we said, it's kind of slowing down on the news, and we're really kind of getting to see what these teams are going to be like. All right, let's keep this thing moving. Let's see what we got next. Other sports. Okay, other sports. So this one, we got to talk about Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald was fired on yesterday after basically on Friday they suspended him for 2 weeks, and it was going to be basically 2 weeks during the summer, so not during the season, for allegations of hazing that were going on within the football program. And I guess there was like a whistleblower that had reported some things last fall, like last November, and then the campus or the college or whatever you want to say, they launched an investigation, like a 6-month investigation. They concluded their investigation in May, and then they announced this 2-week suspension. Well, I guess after the 2-week suspension came out, this player and other players were kind of sounding off about it, but especially this initial whistleblower. And he did an interview where he basically told like everything that was going on. Yeah. And as a result of that coming out, Northwestern, over the weekend was like, maybe we erred on the punishment. Maybe it should have been a little bit worse. And then it comes to yesterday when they just go ahead and fire him. So Pat Fitzgerald has been the coach since like 2007. So he's definitely ingrained in their culture. And before that, he was a player for Northwestern too. So this guy is like Northwestern through and through. The allegations, are just very strange. But the hazing, I guess, was very aggressive. They would have make lists of players like that were like underclassmen or freshmen that were going to be hazed, and they would make the list and generate the list based off of like mistakes they made. So if they made mistakes in practice or a mental error or a mistake during the game or something like that, then they would be added to this list, and this list would be the players that they have to run, which was like what they called their term for this punishment. But I mean, I don't know how to really talk about it, but we just talk about it like it. So apparently the punishment is they would have like a player like in a dark room, and like I think they would like blindfold them or put them in the dark and restrain them. And then like they would have 8 or 9 players that would clap over their head and then like proceed like in taking turns in dry humping the player. Like that was like the hazing ritual that they called running. And then they even put like these events on like runs giving or runs miss, like for the Thanksgiving break and the Christmas break. And they were like doing that like to like, I don't know, like they would just have this list and like they would continue to add to the list as people made mistakes. And then as they got the opportunities to in the locker room, they would have these events where they would haze these people. And like I just don't get it. But I also don't understand like how it took this long for it to go out or for somebody to say like, hey, this isn't cool.
I think what happened is it probably just happened to the wrong person, right? Probably happened to someone who hadn't had it done to him yet. Probably didn't agree with it, but you don't want to be the person, whistleblowing until it happens to you and you're just like, this is stupid. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think, for me, if that were me, I'd be like, nah, ain't nobody doing nothing like that to me. You know what I mean? But a lot of times these players are kids. You know what I mean? And
right.
A lot of times they're just gonna go with whatever. They're not gonna say anything. You think because they play football that they're, burly, these manly men, and they're kids. Right. 18, 19-year-old kids. Only so many of these players are, what you would call an adult. And I'm like, at 25, I'm like, you're still a kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I think that, this is something that's just really stupid. It's really childish. You mess up, you do something, you make them run an extra lap or two for okay, that's whatever. That's just football. That's just practice, whatever. But like stuff that's like stupid like that, like don't dry hump me. Like somebody getting hit. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah. Well, and like you said though, you made some great points. Like they're young, and I think that maybe perhaps in the past they targeted people that they felt they would be able to get away with it on. And if it was like only freshmen and only certain things, like maybe it was a smaller group of players. But it is sad that there's still cultures, right, where you can see that happening to your teammate and you still don't say anything as long as it's not happening to you.
Exactly.
Those type of situations, like those type of climates, like it's sad that they still exist, but they do. I can understand that. Or some of these guys, right, like the competition even to get a D1 scholarship, like even to get to play for a team like Northwestern is like an insane achievement. And then you get there and your first couple of weeks, something crazy like this happens. Are you going to turn around and tell your parents like, I'm out, like I'm going to throw away this scholarship? Like, like all these things like that might be going into somebody's mind to be like, I'm just going to not say anything.
And but it's not like you can hit the player portal either until the following season. So like, unless you want to do it and sit out.
Right. But some of these guys are like, this is what I do. Like, this is my opportunity. And so it's like, it's really sad. But I mean, beyond that, like the initial findings, they said, basically like they couldn't prove that the coach knew what's going on, but that they showed that there was opportunities for him to have learned what was going on. Which I still think, like, to me, I'm sorry, but especially like in a college situation, it's very cyclical. You're only going to be there 2-3 years. Like most players aren't going to, like be there that long, right? So somebody has to be carrying that culture forward. Like, because even if you had like a bad group of people that was like, but maybe once they graduate, it's like, oh, well, thank God those jerks are out of here. Like we can stop that, So something had to be like, this is what we do, right? So that's what's very interesting to me. Also, the coach basically said like, oh, I don't go in the locker room. Like the players run the locker room. That's their shop. Like that's their home. I don't go into the locker room, but I'm like, I think that's bogus too. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
absolutely not.
but you're the
No
coach.
way.
You've never been in the locker room. Like you're saying you don't know anything that goes on in the locker room.
Like, come on.
I don't, I don't believe that. So
Nah, me neither. Not for a
it's just,
second.
it's just crazy. But the quick 180 that they took over the weekend, I still think it's kind of like bad on the university too, because they just thought we'll give them this 2 weeks, we'll brush this thing under the rug, and that wasn't gonna work. Like that's just crazy. So but I do want to say too that there are players that are upset. Like there's kind of a split camp because some players are like, oh, the athletic director is a coward and he can't even come and tell us to our face that they're firing coach. And some people like still have loyalty to coach and all that. But it's like, man, like it's like taking a step back. Like I just think that like over time maybe they'll be able to say like, see that like that's not cool. Like you can't be doing
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. You know what I'm saying? Most of these players, the thing is, it's like, I don't want to talk about the coach's character. I don't know him personally. But I'm sure a lot of those guys, he went to their homes, he talked to them, he told them that he wanted them to be, you know what I mean? Like,
and you're telling the parents too, like, I'm gonna take care of you, right? Like,
exactly.
You're sending your kid across the country. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these kids too, like, who knows what kind of opportunities they had in life? Like, that might have been the first time they ever left home like that. You know?
Exactly. And I can imagine if you're a top recruit or a top player in the country, you know what I mean, or maybe you're not a top player in the country. Like Northwestern's a big school.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure that you probably the what's it called? You were probably getting opportunities you're getting probably weren't at schools like Northwestern. But then when you get this opportunity, you're just like, I didn't get an opportunity from Ohio State or Michigan or Georgia.
I only got D3 offers or D2 offers or whatever.
Exactly. So you see a coach coming to your house, like, so I get it, like I understand it, you know what I mean, in the sense of like, they're upset that their coach is gone, but sometimes like the professional players always say, like there's some things that are bigger than basketball, some things that are bigger than football. Like I think this is one of those things that's bigger than football. You know what I mean? Like,
right. It's crazy. Okay, let me hit the comments real quick though. Stephanie Washington said seriously stupid. She also said don't dry hump anyone. Solid advice. I think that's you can start right there, and that's pretty good advice.
right.
Crazy how these coaches, Unc says that these coaches still continue to accept hazing as part of the game. And yeah, it's like, I just think that some people just take too much joy in it. Like it's one thing if you're like, oh, you got to go sing a song, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to go, you got to
sing a row your boat in front of the team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like you said earlier, like you got to run extra laps or like whatever, but like, oh man, like that's just crazy. Yeah. Pop said, sad that players would participate in this. Thank goodness they didn't go farther. And yeah, it could have gotten, even more out of hand. And like it's just so weird to see too. Or I'm so curious, but also I don't want to know too much. But I'm just saying, where did it start? Like who was the first person that was like, oh, you know what? That's what we're gonna do. Like,
I know.
What I mean? Like, how did that evolve into the? I don't know, man. That's just crazy. Anthony West said, what happened to making you carry your pads or cleats or paying for a meal and all the weird stuff? Yeah, like I don't know, man. That's just crazy to me. And now that's a good idea. Pay the meals, now that they're getting NIL deals, like saying like, you're gonna have to, it's gonna cost you to make a mistake, but not like that. Like all right. So that's that story. We definitely had to talk about that, but just crazy. But hopefully it's kind of a wake-up call for some other programs too, as far as like if you're doing anything along these lines, or if you have something that's formalized versions of hazing where it's like a tradition or something, you should probably reconsider that.
Definitely.
All right, who else we got? What else we got on here? Baseball. So the All-Star game is actually on right now. So we've reached the Midsummer Classic where we'll have the All-Star game and then have a little bit of break for these MLB players. It is in Seattle. And looks like they're putting on a really good show. But I definitely wanted to give a shout out to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for winning the home run derby last night. And he and his father became the first father-son duo to both win the home run derby. I think that is pretty special. That's pretty cool. And actually, I couldn't find it again, but I did see somewhere on the interwebs a picture of Vlad Guerrero Jr. at that All-Star game or at the home run derby with his dad. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty special. You see now also too, they got the chain as part of the as part of the reward to go with the trophy, and then also a nice little jacket that's got like some Mount Rainier on there or whatever. So that's pretty cool. But it was a good show for sure. And the MLB All-Star game going on tonight, so that means no baseball. So that means basically the Royals are going to be undefeated all week for the first week all year. They won't lose the game this week. But seriously though, I can't believe it's already halfway through the MLB season. Like that's pretty crazy to me. And we're going to continue to chug along with that. But as we get these playoff races, we'll start to take a closer look at baseball. Because that's when it really gets exciting when we start to get towards our
another thing I thought that was really cool in the Derby, and I think I hope a lot of players do this next year is Pete Alonso. He signed every single one of his balls before he hit them. So
that's gangster.
So every ball that he hit a home run for, whoever caught it got a signed ball from Pete Alonso. So I thought that was really dope. I hope more players do that going forward. That's actually pretty cool.
That is tight. That's a great idea because you have the bucket of balls that they're going to use. So that's a smart idea, and especially I know that the home run derby has gotten bigger, but also those tickets are not cheap. In bleachers, for once the bleachers are the most expensive because they know you got the chance to snag some balls. So, but no, that's a great idea. That's pretty cool. We got to go back to sometime soon to the batting cages, and we're gonna have our own home run derby. We did find the batting cages. We checked it out. So we're going to be putting some footage up on YouTube. But when we go back, they have a little tracker thing where it shows you how far the ball would have went in the stadium. So we're going to see if your boy Strizzy or I can actually hit some Major League home runs. That'll be pretty dope. Anthony West said, man, I think the baseball All-Star game hit its peak for the late 90s. Just doesn't feel the same. Except in 2015 when it's all Royals. That was crazy. They had seven players on the All-Star team.
I think
that was crazy. It was almost the entire starting lineup. But yeah, I think, baseball, it's finding its way again. I think baseball is still exciting, and I really do think that the young players that are coming up and getting a chance is making it exciting, but it's definitely not the same, It's definitely not the same. So, but that's our baseball update. For today. What else we got on here? Tennis. Oh, we got to give a shout out to our boy, and now all of a sudden I'm blanking on his name. Dang it. But Wimbledon's going on, and we have dang it, what's his name? Homie on the left though, Chris Ebanks or something like that. I'll find it in a second, but he's the third African American player to make it into the semifinals at Wimbledon. So congratulations to him. He is in the top 8. And, he actually, his story is very interesting. He was getting ready to basically retire from tennis. He's been a pro for 4 years now, but basically the first 3 years he was sitting around 200 ranked in the world. And basically barely scraping by to make it work. And actually had started doing commentating work at tennis tournaments because he was already maybe I need to switch up my profession. But he got more serious, got himself a full-time coach, worked his way up, late last year into the top 100, and now he's soaring up. I think he's 47th, but after this week's wins, he'll probably go up into the top 30. So big congratulations to him. If he can continue to upset some people, that would be pretty cool. I don't know that he can go all the way, but still, I mean, that's very exciting for him to reach that success, and also just a great story to persevere, and to continue to chase those dreams, even if you aren't sure. He still had the passion for it, and he did what he needed to do to get the results. So definitely congratulations to him for that one. We also got Svitolina over here, who she just upset the number 1 ranked tennis pro. She's now into the top 4 or the final 4 of the women's bracket. And a big shout out to her. She basically took the past year and a half off of tennis because she was pregnant and then had her baby and spent some time with her baby. Now she's coming back as basically an unranked wild card, and she has a chance to win Wimbledon. So a big congrats to her on her success, and I just like these feel good stories. I think that tennis is dominated by 2 or 3 people for so long that it's good to see. It's good to see some different people coming.
Some new faces coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. Pop says it's not the same watching without Serena, but some great tennis matches so far. Most definitely, yeah. It isn't the same, and I still wish there's a way, that she can win it. one more, just to get that record. But we're satisfied with the career she had, though, so it's all good. We're just being greedy now at this point. All right, last up, did want to talk about Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury. They have agreed to a boxing match this October, and it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. It will be like the 10-point must system for boxing. They haven't said how many rounds yet, and they also haven't said whether this will actually count towards their career standings or not. But first thoughts, first impressions, what do you think of a Ngannou and Fury match?
It's funny. I like that. Ngannou's always been more of a striker. You know what I mean? So like I can definitely see him in a boxing ring more so than a mixed martial arts ring. But boxing's just different, man. There's so much more. There's so much more of a cardio aspect. It's so much more technical than mixed martial arts, in my opinion. So hopefully it's not too many rounds, man, because Fury's it's kind of like when Mayweather fought Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? It's like Conor McGregor is known for striking. You know what I mean? Like he's a fighter, he's a boxer, he's a striker. But it's like you get away from those fifth round, which you're used to, and it's like, yo, it's only 6 rounds. Why am I like dying right now? I can't breathe. Right. Where these boxers are like, yo, I'm used to going 12, my guy. You know what I'm saying? So
they're like, we could do this all day.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like Ngannou's got his work cut out for him to fight, literally the best heavyweight in the world. You know what I mean? For basically, in my opinion, his first real boxing fight. Like that's
right.
That's starting pretty high.
Yeah. Like I think Fury right now is like 7 pound for pound, like number 1 or number 2 heavyweight. Like, yeah, like you're starting at the top. So I definitely feel like he's okay with losing if it comes to that.
For sure.
Because you can't start out much tougher than that. But I agree, the cardio is going to be much different, and the muscle, like the weight, like Ngannou, like Fury, like he's strong, obviously, but he doesn't have all that muscle, because muscle that takes up so much of your oxygen, you get so tired, your stamina. Whereas Fury, he has got a good balance of that, weight and the power. But I just think I applaud Ngannou for getting into a contract with PFF that lets him do boxing too, for having his flexibility. And, he's at a point right now where he's like, I'm trying to make my money and gain like notoriety too, and not be controlled by the MMA or by UFC. So I respect that.
Oh, me too, 100%. I miss him in the UFC. But I respect his decision, man. He knows what he's actually worth, and he knew that Dana White was shorting him, so he said, "All right, I'm out."
Right. It just sucks because we got robbed of him and John Jones.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I don't even know. Like, it still could happen. You never know. But John Jones has his sights set on Stipe Miocic next. Yeah. That should be really good. But I almost feel like if Ngannou was going to get him, like he should have been the first one he fought at heavyweight. Like he should have done it right away. Don't let John Jones continue to get settled in and get more adjusted to it. So I don't know. But I think that's all we really had. I think that was it. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to shut this thing down. We're going to shut that down. And anything else you wanted to touch on before we sign off for the week?
Not much. Just yet again, like we said in the beginning, shout out to Ankh. Thanks again for treating us yesterday. Really appreciate it. I'm saying? I know him and the family are taking off. I think he said this Saturday. So, shout out to Ankh again for treating us yesterday.
Yes, we're glad that we would be able to spend a little bit more time with you. And of course, thank you for coming to episode 200 in person. That was a real treat as well. And safe travels back home this weekend for sure. But I think that we'll leave it right there. We want to shout out Mad Marcus again. Absolutely. We'll be back for episode 203. And look out. We're going to be working on some things for the summer because we know it's going to be a little bit slow for this next month. But then come mid-August, come late August, we're going to be ramping right back up into football. So we're going to be busy again real soon. So
yeah,
I'm excited for that already. But until then, though, that was Say Like a Champ episode 202. It's your boy A-Dub.
And what's Trizzy?
And you take the